crochet and double crochet. So once you get a hairband, you just single crochet all over 45 stitches, 45 times single crochet, and then slip stitch to the very first stitch. And then all you do is double crochet into each stitch all around 3 times into one stitch. So 3 times into one stitch all the way around 2 times. So 1 row, and then you do another row the same way. That is pretty much it. If you're interested to know what I'm doing here, today's story is actually not very known, and there's not much information online, but I accidentally stumbled upon it, and I thought it was so interesting. The murderer was found 34 years later, last year. Can you believe this? Last year, 2021. And another thing is that it was connected to a different case. And I found this out while researching this case. So I'm not sure why it's not known. There's not much information online about her life, Janet Brochu, but I did some digging and I researched, I watched some videos, and I came up with my own information about her life. So this is all I know. There's not much that you can find, but here's the story of Janet Brochu. Janet Brochu. Janet Brochu was born in 1967 to Gerladine and Albert Brochu. Janet was a diabetic, and she also worked as a dietary assistant in a hospital on campus in Waterville, Maine. It was a general medical center on the campus. She worked there for a year and a half at the time of the tragedy. On December 23rd, 1987, Janet Brochu was 20 years old, and she went out actually the youngest of the group. She was only 20 years old. So, actually, in Maine, a year prior to 1987, it was possible to drink at 20 years old because that was the age, the legal drinking age, 20. But in 1986, they changed this legal drinking age, and so Janet was unable to drink at this bar, and in fact she was refused service and she was told to leave the bar, unfortunately. So she ended up leaving the bar with one of the men that they met at the bowling alley. He offered to give her a ride. According to some reports, Janet and this man, they walked out together. And they were seen walking out together. But then, a few moments later, Janet apparently forgot her purse, and the man returned her purse without Janet. And he was seen by Janet's friends. It was unknown how much time has passed since they left with the guy and when he came back for the purse. But their friends did see him there. During this time in a parking lot, Janet was actually feeling very unwell. She was vomiting everywhere, and she was feeling very drunk and drowsy. And the man actually decided not to give her a ride and just leave her there in the parking lot. He said he has no idea. That was the last time he saw her, and he has no idea where she went from there. He apparently didn't want to give her a ride because he didn't want her to throw up in his car because she was so drunk. And this is what he told investigators when questioned. Her friends left the bar about 45 minutes after this, and Janet was not seen in the parking lot at this time. Her parents, Geraldine and Albert, they reported Janet missing the next day because she lived with her parents, and apparently she needed insulin shots a few times a day because she was diabetic, and they were really worried for her well-being. In January of 1988, more than a week after Janet's disappearance, the police questioned two men that they met at the bar. The friends met at the bar there. The two men seemed very cooperative, and police didn't think anything of them. They just let them go after questioning. That didn't seem like they were the ones that did it. The two men body of Janet, but no luck. Then, 3 months later, on March 18th, 1988, her body was found decomposing and naked. It was found at a dam in a Douglas pond by the dam owner. It was found because it washed up against the metal grate that protected the hydropower generator. While it was believed that her body had been submerged into water from the night that she disappeared, no further statements could be made about how she died. And there were no witnesses, so the case was kind of stopped from there. However, 5 months after Janet's body was found, another woman disappeared in a similar circumstances. She also went out with her friends, her co-workers, in Waterville, Maine. She went out to a nightclub. Gerladine Finn was 23 years old, and she lived with her parents in Skowhagen, Maine. She was also working in healthcare, and she was an only child, just like Janet was, and their features and how they looked was kind of similar. She was last seen on August 9th, 1988, leaving Pete and Larry's lounge that was located inside the Holiday Inn at the time, on the upper floor. There were uncanny similarities to Janet's case. While she was in a company of her co-workers, a man approached Geraldine and started speaking with her. The group described him as being about 5'10" in height and about 150 pounds he weighed. He had dark hair, and one distinct feature that her friends remembered was that he had a tattoo of a diamond on his left shoulder. Geraldine's remains were found, unfortunately, 5 days later in Skowhagen. I'm not sure if I say it right, by a man who was walking around his land. forensic DNA technology. At that time, they couldn't use DNA evidence, so they couldn't charge him with anything except Geraldine's case. But police was very suspicious of him. Still, they were thinking that he is probably the perpetrator due to so many similarities in the two cases. This is when Janet's case unfortunately grew cold for 3 decades. "34 years later, in May of 2021, so this was last year, Gerald Godel was finally arrested while he's sitting in prison doing his sentence for Gerladine Finn's murder. He was arrested in prison after some unspecified new evidence was found, and it was presented to the grand jury. The grand jury said this, and I quote, I'm gonna read: "He intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Janet Brochu, or did engage in conduct which manifested a depraved indifference to the value of human life, and which in fact caused the death of Janet Brochu, all in violations of the law. It is unknown how much time he might get for this, but the punishment for indifference to the value of a human life is 25 years. So he might get 25 years added to his already 75-year sentence that he is serving currently. So that means he'll never get out, ever." Arraignment was postponed after a video conference because of COVID, so an official arraignment hearing is yet to occur for this case. Unfortunately, Janet's mother, Gerladine Brochu, she died in 2015, and her father died in January of 2021, a few months before Janet's killer would be brought to justice. So neither of the parents were able to see their daughter's case get resolved, unfortunately. We will wait and see what the arraignment hearing will uncover and what new evidence that they found. I'm definitely interested to see. So don't forget to check back on this case if you are also interested